Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Game over, Toronto fans. Welcome back to Game Over Toronto. The Leafs, for the very first time in what feels like a long time, secure a division win with a big 4-0 shutout against the Buffalo Sabres in Game 81. A nice little bow on the season. All kinds of good stuff happening in that game tonight. We got a couple milestones to talk about. We got no longer a goalie controversy to talk about. We got to talk about the fact that the Leafs did just finally win another division title. Like you said just before we went live, Zach, let's hope it goes a little bit nicer this time around. My name is Lauren Williamson. On the other hand side of the screen, we have Zach Payne. Zach, how much more relieved are you this week on Tuesday than you were last week when the Leafs faced off against the Florida Panthers?
I would say, 10 out of 10 relieved, right? This was the race. This has been what we've been building towards for the last 2 months, it feels like. We've been in the middle of this division race for so long, and now we're heading into the final game of the regular season, and we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to stress Tampa's killing Florida tonight, but guess what? We don't even need the help. We'll do it ourselves, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah, and don't leave it to the last minute or anything, eh? It feels a little bit like finishing the test as your teacher walks up to you, like trying to collect them. That's what it sort of felt like tonight. And just a huge sigh of relief, I imagine, for not just the Leafs, but management, for us as fans and everything else. Very nice to think about the fact that we do not have to go on to Thursday being such an important game that it's not miss hockey. Don't get me wrong, it's been nice that we are able to have exciting hockey all the way up till game 81. That's a nice change, right? As opposed to the last couple of years, my goodness. And a couple of players doing an unbelievable job to make sure that the Leafs do secure all those points, and the main guy being the man in blue between the pipes. Anthony Stolarz tonight, I would actually say for the first 40 minutes of that game, it was kind of a battle of goalies. A little bit surprising to know that, I was reminded on the stream tonight that Buffalo is 31st in their goaltending this year. And seeing Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen play that well, if they played the Leafs every game, the Buffalo Sabres might be in a playoff race.
Luukkonen had a fantastic first 50 minutes, honestly. Like, the one Lorenz goal was just a rocket. Yeah. And then, things kind of fall apart. It wasn't even his fault. The Sabres just died in the last 3 minutes there when the game, as soon as Marner scored that goal, they packed it in, 2 more goals in the final few minutes. Like, it was just over, and you could tell that the life was drained out of that entire roster and that bench. So good for the Leafs. Overall, this game was solid. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a masterclass, because for I would say 45 to 50 minutes of that game, the Leafs were playing very good hockey, but there was just a couple shifts here and there where the Sabres would start to turn it on and start to kind of cave the Leafs in a little bit, and Stolarz had to be sharp. Penalty kill might have some concerns there, but you said it, like, Stoli between the pipes, he shut it down. He now has shutouts in 3 of his last 4 starts and back-to-back shutouts heading into the playoffs. What more could you ask for?
Not much. If the game had ended 1-0, I would have said, oh, I wish this happened. But like you said, for the first 46 minutes of the game, it was pretty even. The whole game looked fairly square. There was definitely a couple shifts. There were a number of passes tonight that were unbelievable, and it seemed also like basically every player had a really bad giveaway. Nyes had a really bad giveaway in the first period. Domi had a really bad giveaway that led to like a 35 seconds sustained zone pressure. Marner had a bad giveaway right in the middle of the half boards. Like, there were a couple of plays that really could have gone the other way tonight. And I thought about this just as the game was ending. Do you remember, like, the theme last year and this year, more so last year when the Leafs were playing under Keefe, and even the years before that when they were playing under Keefe, the Leafs' inability to take a stranglehold on a game and literally crush it to death after scoring a couple. And
yeah, like, I will say, like, I wouldn't. The Leafs have definitely not been playing that way.
It didn't happen very much a couple years ago.
Right.
The Leafs would go up in a game like this and then give up the lead and then end up losing.
Yes.
Or force overtime and then win in overtime. Right? But this year and games. Sorry.
The record after 2 periods, like, when with a lead, is staggering. And the Leafs, I think they have the most wins in 1-goal games this year. Like, they are very, very comfortable in close games.
Yeah. Yeah. And even going into tonight, like, Mitch Marner gets that goal with just a few minutes to go, like essentially under 4 minutes to go, they end up scoring the second goal. But like you said, like they're capable of winning 1-0 games. They won that 1-0 game against the Habs a couple weeks ago. Right? And that's not something that, like, earlier in this season, we were panicking because they weren't scoring more. But they have since been able to shore up being able to be responsible defensively as well, despite the fact that 2 of our top defensemen are out right now.
Yeah, and, like, I'm not going to sit here and say the Leafs are masterclass defensively, because I think they have the capacity to do that, but we just haven't seen it consistently. And obviously, I think the structure will start to get shored up next season. Like, I think next season the Leafs' defensive structure will be a lot more just steady. Yeah, exactly. Whereas this year, it's the process is there, and you could see what they want to do, but there are just lapses sometimes in their ability to shut games down, or look on the penalty kill, for example, where you know what they want to do, but the opposing team is just able to still kind of manipulate the defense in a way to get some results that they want. But at the end of the day, the Leafs do enough defensively to insulate their goalies and give their goalies a chance. And when you have 2 really good goalies, it makes everyone look a lot better.
Yeah, and both of the Leafs goalies, like you said, especially coming down the stretch, have been so good. Obviously, both goalies have had moments of scary injury so far this season, so that was quite harrowing. But basically, since the Four Nations face-off, it's just been getting steadily better. I would imagine, despite and regardless of what the lines are on Thursday and who plays and who doesn't, I would not be surprised if Woll plays one of his best games of the season, just because he is trying to also... Like, somebody like that, that he's going to try and still compete for it, despite the fact that Anthony Stolarz has really done a very good job of not just cementing, but sort of cement with rebar himself into that starter net for what will be the playoffs next week.
On Sunday.
Yeah. It's exciting.
So, like, and look, Stolarz, like, they won't officially announce it, but I would be shocked if Joseph Woll is the starter on Sunday against Ottawa.
Yeah. I don't see a world how I don't see how you don't start Anthony Stolarz.
Barring injury of some freak nature in practice.
Don't you dare say that, Zachary. What's the matter with you? Is it your first time here? I know you're young, but god damn it. Anyway, so yeah, it was lots of good things to talk about, and that was like we said, the first essentially 44 minutes of the game, it was pretty calm, and then Steven Lorenz kind of cracks it open. Even in the third period, it sort of felt like Buffalo is maybe just a single shift away, a single pass. That second power play that they got, like the Willie Nylander highlight stick, Tage Thompson was just a absolute monster. How they did not score is an actual Christmas miracle.
Yeah, and Ryan McLeod too, strangely, was a demon tonight as well.
Yeah, and I mean he played on a super competitive team, right? And like I think he's got 19 goals, they said on the broadcast, which is more than they've had. He's had in any other season, so good for him. And then
Oilers could use him.
I like the garnishing of sea salt. Just grind that salt shaker on top. Well, and let's move over into the actual second period of Game Over. We're going to talk about the fact that the Leafs actually, with tonight's win, managed to finally secure another division title. It's happened, what, I think they said 7 years in the entire history of the Leafs that they've won the division?
That's shockingly horrible. Oh my lord, this franchise has one of the saddest histories in professional sports. How are you? Oh, you're over 100 years old, and that's woo. But hey, we made it. Woo!
Hang the banner.
Yeah, and look, I funny enough, I cheer for another team that had that similar kind of history. My favorite NFL team is the Detroit Lions, and last year in 2023, the 2023-24 season, they won their first division in 30 years. So I really know how to pick them. Holy.
Well, I mean, that's what you get for picking blue and white teams, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
But again, very exciting. Huge thing, huge win for the Leafs. I think it matters more to them that they have home ice advantage. Despite it feels more valid this year than last year. Last year the Leafs were terrible at home, so it was almost a disadvantage. But this year they've been unbelievable.
Yeah, and well, the other thing too is they have under Sheldon Keefe, they were horrifying at home in the playoffs. Going to be very fascinating to see how Berube handles having last change and all that. But the other thing that we should probably talk about, this division title means more than the Canadian Division one for a few reasons. One, obviously that playoffs in 2021 we don't talk about, right? We don't even talk about it.
We don't talk about
But
Bruno.
the quality of competition in that division in the regular season, the Canadian division was horrifyingly mid, and the Leafs kind of ran the show for most of that season. They were in first for like 90% of that season. This year, Florida and Tampa for a majority of the time they were on the Leafs, like it was a neck and neck race. And then Tampa, obviously, like Florida fell off a little bit with all the injuries and whatnot, but Tampa was still right there the entire time. And this has been a race. And I think the most important thing is it has forced the Leafs to play competitive hockey through March and into April.
Yeah.
Whereas you talked about off the top of the show, we haven't had exciting games this late in the season for a few years. And now we've had, but it's more important for the team and that they've had to actually give a wholehearted effort, whether or not they play a full 60, but they've at least tried for parts of every game. And I think that will do them more good going into the playoffs than even winning the division itself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like you said, last year and even the year before that, like it was very evident the fact that the Leafs knew who their opponents were going to be. They were not really ever in the chase for the Atlantic Division lead since they won the North Division back during the dark days of COVID. And it does. You're right. I couldn't say it any better. Like it does mean more. It means more that they are doing this now. It means more that they're doing this, and part of that is because they are sort of running on the back of these two goalies that are playing out of their minds and are challenging for some of the best save percentage in the league. And like especially Anthony Stolarz going into this season was a big question mark for all of us, right? Like, don't get me wrong. We knew who Joseph Wall was, and we expected him to be the starter and for Stoli to be the backup. But right out of the gate, Stoli came in and was just like sort of a force and made himself
because Wall was
space.
hurt.
Yeah, no, but it was, but the goalies that we have had in years previous fall in those moments.
Exactly. We never have had two good goalies, right? It's either been like even back when we should have had two good goalies with Jack Campbell and Freddie Anderson when Campbell was playing unreal. Freddie fell off a cliff and he was horrifying to watch. And I do want to shout out this from Terry M. Remember during the COVID season, the Leafs shut out the Oilers 3 games in a row. Small fact check. It was actually Campbell got a shutout. Hutch second in save percentage this season.
Yeah.
Like I know he doesn't have as many games played as Connor Hellebuyck, for example, but Hellebuyck has had more defensive support than Stolarz has had. So for as decent as the Leafs defensive system has been, the Jets won the President's Trophy for a reason. And it's not just because Hellebuyck was amazing, because he was, and he'll win the Vezina, but the Jets did a really good job in front of him as well, making sure that he was kept clean and able to make all those saves. So the Leafs did, again, they've done a good job. Not a great job. There's still a level to their defensive game that they haven't quite hit yet. Maybe they get there in the playoffs. I don't know. But Stolarz, man, what a signing. And to think that we were so close to almost have signed Laurent Brossoit instead.
Yeah, and in another universe we probably did, right? And it's crazy to, like, that's for sure the most impactful offseason signing in the last 5 years for the Leafs.
Only rivaled by like Chris Tanev, who was signed in the same class.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even say, like, don't get me wrong, Chris Tanev has been a big part of this team since he joined the season. But overall, wouldn't you say that it's a bigger difference that Stolarz was the signing that was made?
I think if we're looking at the amount of wins added, Stolarz has added more wins than Tanev. And Tanev is the best right-handed defenseman this team has had in a long time. So it's not to discount that either. It's just Stolarz has been wicked. And I'm so excited for next year as well.
And I'm sorry to say this, but one defenseman cannot steal you a game in the playoffs. And with the way that Anthony Stolarz is, there is a good chance that he could be somebody that the Leafs could actually use in that way, and actually not crumble under the pressure. Like, at no point, the closer he's gotten to the playoffs, the better he's looked.
Yeah, he's played his best hockey down the stretch.
What a wonderful problem.
This is my apologist segment. But a few weeks ago, when people were starting to lean Stolarz, and I was like, guys, come on, it's still an open competition. We still have like 10 games to go. We got to see how both of them play in their last 5. Stolarz has won 8 games in a row. Yeah. We talked about the shutouts that he's had as a late. Like, he has elevated his game, and man, if he plays, like, obviously he's not going to get a shutout every game in the playoffs. That'd be insane.
That'd be great.
But if he just literally plays the way he's played all regular season in the playoffs, it is going to be incredibly difficult to beat this for anyone to beat the Leafs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And especially, like, I like that. I think Jake McCabe, in all honesty, has probably been okay to come back tonight. I kind of like that they're holding him out.
Yeah.
We talked right before
Same with OEL. Both of them.
Yeah. There's no point to play them. I will say, and really quickly, I do want to make a small note of the fact that Dakota Mermis has come in and played like 2 games for the Leafs now. And boy, does that guy love to shoot on the net, and it is so nice to see. Oh my gosh.
Left-handed Philip Myers.
Oh my gosh. I would rather have him than Philip Myers. Wouldn't you?
It's not, it's perfectly, it's a great problem to have. I mean, Myers is probably still your 7. Sure. If anyone gets hurt, then you slide OEL over. But Mermis is your 8th in case of injury.
Yeah.
It's the old, I don't want to give this guy too much credit, but he did get a few things right. Broken watch. Mike Babcock, back in the day, when he used to talk about, I think it was Connor Carrick or Travis Dermott, one of those 2 guys, playing like their first games, and he was like, I didn't notice him. And that's a great thing. I didn't really notice Dakota Mermis a ton in the past 2 games, and that is amazing because the worst thing you can be, exactly, the worst thing you could be as someone who's new to the lineup is very noticeable, especially as a defenseman. Like, if you're forward and noticeable, that's good. Like, Ivan Demidov for the Habs the other night. But if you're a defenseman, you do not want to be making mistakes, because if you just want to keep it simple. Short passes, breakouts, all that, maybe make a few hits and just have a clean game. That's exactly what Mermis has given them.
Well, and if you look back, like, I went to the first game last year that Simone Benoit played in the preseason. Last season I went to that game, and he had, I think it was 3 penalties in that first game. And I was like, who is this guy? Right? And now, in fairness, Simone Benoit has come in and actually played like pretty well, all things considered. He's been a mostly stable, mostly.
That's another guy I owe some, like, man, for 70 games this year, again, I've been wielding that hammer about how on this show, I said, what has Simone Benoit done to justify being a roster lock while Philip Myers is in the press box? And then I saw Philip Myers play, and Benoit has elevated his play as well. I was like, oh my Lord, I get it. I know why Berube did that. So Benoit has been playing his best hockey down the stretch as well. Myers is not, but he's also a replacement level defenseman. So the top 6 is set. Like, the defense is all set.
Yeah. We're going to name this segment The Leafs Win the Atlantic and the Zach Payne Apology Tour.
Yeah, seriously. The only thing I can still justify, man, Max Domi had a bad game. Okay, I'm done.
Well, listen, you can't win them all, man. When he scores the goal that sends the Leafs to the second round, you can apologize then.
Absolutely. And you know what?
You're like, prove me wrong, Maximum.
I think I was talking to Hab fans like throughout the season. I remember talking to them and being like, Max Domi could score the Stanley Cup winning goal, and I'll still think he sucks. I'll be grateful, but I'll still think he sucks.
Wow, tell me how you really feel. Golly, gee whiz, too good. Okay, well, with that,
he is a gamer though.
Yeah, I mean, prodigal son,
he'll
right?
play his best hockey in the playoffs. Yes. So I'm
just
not
like
worried
William
about
Nylander,
that.
I'm not worried.
Yeah, if Domi gets skunked for an entire series, I would be stunned.
Yeah. Well, and we're guaranteed like a David Kampf goal because he always scores once in the playoffs,
Dude, Lorentz next to playoff Kampf.
Let's go, baby.
Like
Fourth line, watch
chat
out.
has been talking about that. Matthew saying Lorentz is the king of game-winning goals. I'm pretty sure someone else had talked about it. Luke said another Lorentz game-winning goal. Like, dude, Lorentz is the most randomly clutch player on this team.
And like he's only signed to this year, so like I can't see why they wouldn't bring him back. He's like living his best life. This guy, he's from here.
It's the perfect fourth liner.
Yeah. Well, and you just like even in the between the periods interviews, he's like sitting there beaming like a child with a fistful of cookies, just like living his best life. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's the prodigal son Toronto boy we need to focus on resetting in the offseason. Just kidding. So let's move over.
We'll see how the playoffs go.
We'll see how the playoffs go. Maybe he ends up on the right wing with Auston Matthews. Just kidding. So let's move over into the third period. Before we do that, let's really quickly talk about the fact that the playoffs are around the corner. Zach and I are going to be back on Thursday to talk about the final game of the season. We'll have a little bit of a playoff preview as well. And starting this weekend, it is going to be the playoffs. We're still sort of ironing out the kinks on how all of the crossovers are going to happen if we do end up facing Ottawa, which I think is now.
I think it's going to be standalone. It's going to be standalone shows.
Yeah.
So, like, I know throughout the season we've been doing crossover shows for every inter-Canadian matchup, but for the playoffs, it's just Toronto, it's just Ottawa, because let's be honest, if let's say history repeats itself and the Leafs lose in 7, I have no appetite to talk positively about the Sens. So don't worry, it's just going to be Leafs talk here.
Yeah. So we will be here live after every single Leafs game. Really looking forward to having you. And if you happen to maybe know of a small business, or maybe you own a small business and you're looking to do a little bit of sponsorship, even just for the playoffs, all of those options are available. All the links, if you go down below to thegameovernetwork.com, you could reach out to us as a company. One of us will get back to you as quickly as possible to try and get some resources and get something worked out, because as we all know, sometimes during the season, the views on the streams aren't super high. But boy, once the puck drops in the playoffs, it becomes a next level streaming experience. So if you want to get a little bit of a word out, maybe you know somebody that owns a small business and would like to do a little bit of sponsorship with us, please don't be afraid to reach out to us, because we would love to team up with you. While you're at thegameovernetwork.com, if you could actually go and also check out like the shop that we have all different kinds of merchandise. We have hats, t-shirts, sweaters, all that kinds of good stuff. I was wearing actually my Game Over shirt just this past weekend, so go look at that. It's super comfy, super cozy, and you can find all that at thegameovernetwork.com. So let's move over into the third period and talk about the fact that there were more than a couple milestones tonight. Not only did the Leafs finally win the Atlantic Division for the first time, but Auston Matthews is finally getting to the 400 goal club. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, I got distracted by Matthew's chat saying I'll have to troll Game Over Ottawa after every win and the sweep. That is a passionate comment right
doing
there.
The Lord's work,
doing
the Lord's work.
But yeah, Auston Matthews, sixth fastest player to 400 goals, even faster than Ovechkin back in the day. Now, I'm not going to push narratives that other people have, because Matthews will not be scoring 40 goals when he's 39 or 37 or whatever. But look, incredible accomplishment for Matthews. In a down year still, he has like 76 points. Like, whoa, he's scoring at like a 40-goal, 90-something point pace in a down year. So, yeah, I feel like Matthews is healthier, I think, than has been alleged. Like, I think a lot of that is he was just kind of playing kind of mid for a little bit, but he's still having a very solid season. And I think he's one off of his career high in assists now of 46. So he's still having a super solid season. That pass to Marner, oh my Lord, that was disgusting. And we should also mention Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. We talked about how he was having a good game. My Lord, did he, I don't know what he has against Auston Matthews, but Matthews could have had 5 goals in this game and just was getting robbed routinely.
He was a vacuum of the Matthews shot tonight. Every single one. And no rebound either. Just completely absorbing it and just yeah, it was crazy. Well,
Jordan Binnington flashbacks from the Four Nations.
Yeah, a little bit, just unbelievable. And that pass, like you said, is just such a silly. It's like an NHL 2025 online game goal that you would score in Hut. That's just an impossible angle. And obviously that final point, actually, that goal to put the Maple Leafs up 2-0, getting Mitch Marner his first 100-point season. And boy, did those boys look happy tonight.
Hey, we can finally say he's a 100-point player. There was a play earlier in the third where Matthews hit Marner in the slot, and the puck, I don't know if it was too hard of a pass or Marner just didn't have it, hold his stick tight enough, but the puck, just slipped under his stick somehow. And I was starting to think Marner is really going to be the best, the best 100-point player to never hit 100 points of all time.
Yeah.
But hey, he got there. He can officially say he's a 100-point player, and I'm sure his agent can't wait to bring that point.
Oh, he's just panting like a dog with a bone. Just absolutely lathering at the mouth.
Do you think that was a $500,000 a year goal or
1.5?
Oh,
it's a $1.5 million increase for sure.
That's
100%.
That's an after the season conversation. But anyways,
after
great
the
for
parade
Mitch Marner,
when we've won the cup, that's when we can have that conversation.
Yeah, and when that happens, I won't complain about the $16 million a year because we'll have won the cup.
16.
If you win the cup, it's a blank check.
No, you win the cup. You can leave now. I'm just kidding.
That would be so cold. Could you imagine?
Thanks. Peace.
But yeah, no, great for Marner. And now it's on to the next step is can he elevate in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's all well and good to score all of the regular season goals and points that you want, Mitchell. Yeah. And if you end up going into game 5, 6, 7 and you are pointless, then you will not be getting a blank check from the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, no, then you'll get a blank check from
San Jose.
Columbus.
Columbus. Yeah.
I don't know. Someone not named the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. I mean the cap is going up almost $7 million this year?
I think it's going to go up over the next 3 years it's going up 16 or something or 20.
So literally any team could suffer the consequences for a year and land him and be fine and be able to afford the penalty the next year if you had to.
I think that's if let's say the Leafs win even just all round, I guarantee you that is going to be the logic behind the Leafs paying him.
And I'm gonna throw up when it happens. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna be sick. But anyways. that's talk for after the season. After what ends up being the saddest show of the entire year, the last game over of the season,
or the happiest,
or
show,
the happiest. I don't know.
Go.
I haven't had that as a conclusion yet. Although I saw, I saw what happened a couple of years ago, and when Edmonton or last year when Edmonton got close, and it was like watching their hearts get ripped out of their chest. Oh my God, it was rough. But but I would love to feel that pain. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh,
it'd be a lot better than losing in the first round, Game 7. That's for sure. Because at least then you have a month and a half, or you have 2 months of just hype and intensity, and then you have one super letdown instead of just sucking.
Just a wet fart of the second round.
Yeah.
A gentleman's sweep, isn't that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe this is the year. I don't know. Who knows? We've never had goaltending. Why not? We've never had goaltending this solid. Our offense has been a little bit lower this year, but that has not stopped the Leafs from still winning the division.
Yep. There's for the hope, the people who have passion and have hope, there is a legitimate path. There is.
Yep.
Just gotta make good on it. I mean, the Leafs also had the easiest path they'll ever have in the Canadian division, and they choked that. So hey, it doesn't really matter. But if there was ever a time, why not now?
Well, in the Canadian division, and the whole run for the Habs was just proof that you can ride a goalie all the way to the final.
Yep.
So why not? Why not?
The Rangers for years have they made it to multiple conference finals off of Shesterkin and a ridiculously goofy shooting percentage.
Yeah.
So
yeah, crazier teams have made it further. That's for sure. We're gonna move over into the overtime period here in just a second. So make sure you get your questions in. Make sure you get your comments in. Zach, if you want to scan for any good ones that we want to talk about really quick.
Absolutely.
obviously, thank you for being here on Game Over Toronto. We're going to end up wrapping up the show here in just a second. Probably a nice short show tonight, because I imagine that Thursday is probably going to be maybe just a teensy bit longer, because we are going to do a bit of a playoff preview. Everything will definitely be settled by then, God willing. And there will be we're leading up to the playoffs, everybody. It's going to be, man, this time next week is going to be absolutely bumping in here, and I just can't wait. Like, it's been so nice, like we've said all show, to have the Leafs play relevant hockey this deep, and for them to play well. Like, that's such an important thing. So many other teams that, like, sort of scraped in and have made good runs, they have been so strong leading up into the playoffs. Like, the Stars last year made it super far and everything, and and it's hard to just flip a switch and turn on that playoff mentality. And tonight, like, Auston Matthews at one point, like, got stripped to the puck and got knocked over, and then went and checked 3 guys in the same shift. Like, it was so good.
Oh,
and
playoff Matthews is coming.
I just can't wait. I can't wait for this time next week. So
I am so excited to watch the duo of Auston Matthews and Matthew Knies just being the most destructive force on the forecheck in these playoffs, because they are both huge. They both, like, I know Matthews, in the past we've had our moments, but he clearly has the drive. Knies is an absolute gamer, as we've seen in his young career. That is going to be super fun. Even if Marner is mid in the playoffs, those two should make up for it, hopefully.
Yeah, let's hope. I think, I mean, every year that Matthew Knies he plays, he gets better. And last year he was just an unstoppable force. He was literally unstoppable in the playoffs. And if the Leafs do end up facing the Sens in the first round, and I know we're going to do our player preview on Thursday, but if they do that and then Tampa faces Florida, and then
this is Gary Bettman is so happy with himself for this format right now.
And then let's say Tampa wins, and then the Leafs go on to fight Tampa in the second round. I think there's a really good chance that they make it to the Eastern Conference. Come on.
You know what? Here's my bold prediction right now.
Okay.
If the Leafs beat Ottawa, and Tampa Bay beats Florida, I will be booking my Stanley Cup final tickets. Because the Leafs, for some reason, own Tampa. Inexcusable. Like, I have no idea why. Vasilevsky turns into a pumpkin against them.
It's great.
There is not a single Metro team I'm afraid of.
I don't know, man.
I'm terrified of Florida, but
I don't want to face the fucking Capitals right now. Are you nuts?
The Capitals have, like, the highest shooting percentage of the Cap era. They are paper tigers.
Wow. Okay, bold words. We'll see when we make it to the Eastern Conference final.
And you know what? When the Capitals win the cup, you can thank me for that statement.
Oh my gosh! Don't. That's enough out of you. Okay.
Okay. Anyways,
let's get into the chat. What did you find?
So, first of all, everyone, we have 11 people in here. Just a reminder to hit like and subscribe. We're closing in on 200 subscribers, which is a small little feat. We'll hope to get there by the end of the playoffs here. I just want to give Terry M, because he's been talking about this all stream, we should talk about our friends in Montreal who are currently in the most stressful playoff race. Did you see the game against Chicago last night? So, okay, let me set the scene. For those who did not see this game goes to a shootout. Montreal, if they win, they're in. First Montreal shooter doesn't score. Chicago shooter doesn't score. Patrick Laine in the second round doesn't score. Then there's a review for what? Oh, Chicago's first shot actually went in. So suddenly, Chicago has a chance to win the game. They don't, but no one scored in the shootout. And the only goal was a goal that was called a goal a round after it happened. So Montreal loses. Columbus wins tonight. So now Montreal, they play Carolina tomorrow. A single point, and they will make the playoffs. If they lose, Columbus will have a chance on Thursday to win in regulation to make the playoffs. It's exciting.
Hockey mattering all the way till the very end, eh? What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's super exciting. So here's a question from Luke in the chat. Who is your pick for surprisingly good playoff performer this season? Like maybe someone who's a little under the radar, Who's your pick?
Not Matthew Nyes, you mean? Other than the obvious Matthew Nyes?
Because you expect him to be good.
You know what I want? I want Nick Robertson to be scratched on Thursday so he can start game 1 and score like 3 goals. That would be great. I actually think that the secret playoff performer, it might be Max Domi.
Yeah, I expect Domi to be good. Like, we saw Domi elevate in a first-line role last year. So, if he's on the second line, I might rip my eyes out. But third line, if he's on the third line, I have a little bit of optimism. It's not a ton, as you can tell by that very uncomfortable squeal. But I think he could bring something. For me, who's my pick? I don't know.
I could see Bobby McMahon, too. He's sort of... I think he could...
Yeah.
When he's good, he's good. He
was
nice and fast. That was good.
People in the chat are talking about Pacioretty. Do you buy into Patches being in the game 1 lineup? I think he could maybe be a fourth liner, but if he's in the top 9, I'm gonna have questions. But yeah, Bobby McMahon would be a good pick. He has to be on the second line. He has to be. The second line, their expected goals percentage when he's on the second line is like 60%. When they have anyone else than Bobby McMahon, it's like 45. McMahon has to be there. Regardless of if he scores or not, he just helps them drive play. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
His speed is unbelievable.
I
can actually see Matthew in the chat. Can you see Lorentz getting the first round winning goal? It's possible, man. Like,
absolutely.
Steven Lorentz has won a Stanley Cup with the Florida Panthers, so he knows what it takes quite recently. Yep. I could see him being like a sneaky 2 or 3 goal scorer, especially with that fourth line gelling the way it is right now. Man, come on.
All 3 former Panthers could be instrumental in this playoffs. And you know what? If Oliver Ekman-Larsson or Morgan Rielly, one of them, preferably both, but one of them has to elevate in an offensive capacity, because the Leafs have 4 defensemen that are tailored to defense. McCabe can make, he has a good shot from the point. He can chip in a little offensively. One of Morgan Rielly or Oliver Ekman-Larsson has to elevate. I'm praying to the holiest of deities that we get 2023 playoff Mo, because, man, what a difference would make. Like, the thing is, in the playoffs, rush chances are at a premium, right? Morgan Rielly, he hasn't shown it a ton this season, but he has the ability to generate in transition, and that ability is so much more valuable in the playoffs.
Yep.
Hopefully, he can use his skating to his advantage. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't say I'm optimistic about that one at all, but that's the X factor to me, is if Morgan Rielly can elevate, that would be a massive difference for the Leafs.
Yeah, and do you remember how good Jake McCabe was in the playoffs last year? He was an actual animal. He was unbelievable.
Pretty solid. Yeah, he was really, playing with Benoit on that second pair was an adventure. But now that McCabe is on his proper left side, and he is Chris Tanev, for as good as Benoit has been down the stretch, he's no Chris Tanev. And that pair is going to be a shutdown pairing. I guess they play against the Tkachuk-Stützle line the most, and we'll see what happens. Again, that's a playoff preview for Thursday's episode, but I'm really excited for, honestly, the whole defense to come together in the playoffs. Brandon Carlo, I'm so excited for.
He saved a goal tonight too, man. There was one right across the blue paint, and he was right where he needed to be. Yeah.
There was another one that's it might have been Benoit that saved a goal. Benoit's been saving a few.
Yeah.
So here's, I guess, kind of a roundup question based on what people are talking about is Nick Robertson. What do we think? Do we think Nick Robertson has done enough to be a fixture in the playoff lineup? And regardless of what you say, I will argue the contrary, because I can see both sides.
When you say fixture, do you mean permanent fixture, or do you mean
he will be in every single game?
No.
Okay.
Now, having said that, I think that he deserves it more than Pontus Holmberg. Because Pontus Holmberg, I can't stand him still being in our lineup right now. I'm just saying.
So my playoff lineup, it probably goes McMahon, Tavares, Nylander, the top line. McMahon, Tavares,
the top
Nylander,
2 lines
Lawton,
are pretty good.
Lawton, Domi, Yarncroke is my
Yep.
third line. And then Lorentz, Kampf, and Pacioretty, Holmberg. Don't care who. The thing with Robertson, he is so this is both sides, right? The negative is he's rather one-dimensional. He's small. He gets knocked off pucks easily. He can be a liability defensively. And in the playoffs last year and in the past, he hasn't really performed. That being said, let's say you have a third line of Robertson on his proper left side, Domi, Yarncroke, Lawton, who cares? Robertson has shown an ability to beat goalies coming down the left side off the rush. He has beat Jeremy Swayman, Andrei Vasilevsky, like with just great shots from distance.
Mm-hmm.
He has a legitimately wicked shot. He brings that extra scoring touch that we know in the playoffs hasn't been present.
Yep.
Okay, the Leafs have only scored 3 or fewer goals in 14 straight playoff games and only scored 3 goals once. 2 or fewer goals in 13 of their last 14 playoff games.
Yeah.
You need as much offense as you can get. Robertson and Domi have shown they can connect on a goal every now and again throughout the regular season.
Yeah.
They've been a pretty effective little duo. So if you put a babysitter on that line, there is a pathway to it working.
Yeah.
This is not me arguing
No.
that he should or shouldn't be in the lineup. I'm just saying those are the two arguments.
Yeah, for sure. And even tonight, like, I don't think that Nick Robertson is a bad player. I just think that
No.
I think he plays better when he knows he has to fight for his job.
Mm-hmm.
That's more what it is.
Yeah.
I think he could do it. I think that there's a chance that he could have the opportunity and totally shit the bed. Like, it is possible.
You know what? Yeah, like, I think my play would be Robertson's your 13th forward, and
Yep.
let's say you go through the first 3 or 4 games of the series, and every game is like 2-1.
Yep.
You can't score to save your life. That's when I bring him in.
Yep.
Like, I would
Have him
make
rotate
sure,
in
like,
and out.
yeah, I would be much more comfortable playing him on home ice when you can shelter his minutes a little bit more.
Yep.
But if push comes to shove, I'm perfectly fine playing him in general. It's just not something I would start with.
Yeah.
Now, real quickly before we wrap up,
Yep.
we should mention someone that honestly could have been mentioned in the surprise playoff performer list that has been actually playing decent, nowhere near worth the acquisition, but Scott Lawton is starting to find his place in this team. Do you have any confidence that he can be not even necessarily a factor, but just a legitimately positive contributor in the postseason?
Well, my first question is, do you have a fever? Because you are taking an awful lot of medicine tonight, mister. Yes, I think Scott Lawton, the more time goes on, the better he looks. I think he will be, you know what? I think that's another player that we miss as could be a secret factor. Because he hasn't had an opportunity to play in the playoffs. So, I mean, not recently. And
nope, not since, what was it, 1920, the first COVID season.
So I think he's going to be chomping at the bit. The last couple of games specifically, he has looked better and more comfortable. Obviously, it would have been nice if he clicked as quickly as Brandon Carlo did. But that's a big ask. Brandon Carlo came in and played like he had been here all season. It was crazy.
So I was so annoyed on his behalf that his shorthanded slap shot went bar down but not in.
Oh, I thought it was in.
Lord.
I thought it was in. I fully got up and cheered, and I was like, "What do you mean it didn't go in?" I thought for sure it did.
And then tonight, the net is empty, and I was so mad at him for not shooting. Like, yeah, I'm happy Matthews got his 4.
Sure.
Lawton, he just needs a goal to get going, but he's looked good in a fourth line role, and I have reason to believe, he's looked good on the forecheck. He's a good penalty killer. He's good defensively. He's very physically involved.
Yep.
I think he'll be him and Domi could be a very annoying duo to play against.
Let's say a miracle happens and Pacioretty comes back into the fourth line, and it plays out of his mind and plays like he hasn't played in a decade. And just
or at the start of the season even.
Sure. And a miracle happens and the second line reconnects with Pacioretty, because there was 10 games where Patches was playing with JT and Willie. That line was
unreal.
They couldn't stop scoring. And so I think that would be a great third line would be Bobby McMahon or Callie Yarncroke, Scott Lawton, and Max Domi. That is no fun to play against. And every single one of them wants to.
They're good defensively.
Yeah, they're fast. Yeah. So good. Oh man. Don't get me. Don't tease me with a good time, Zachary.
All right, then let me bring you back down. Callie Yarncroke's playoff career has been abysmal. So there you go. There's your come back down to earth moment.
That's okay.
To level off the show.
Can't be perfect. I think him on a line with Kampf and Steven Lorentz has a teensy bit of scoring threat, and that's super solid defensively too.
Lorentz has a timely scoring threat.
Yes.
When you absolutely need a goal, he just has a way of doing it.
Yeah. We'll see. I can't wait for the fourth line to, win the first round for the Leafs. And on that note, let's should we wrap up the stream?
I think let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so this has been Game Over Toronto. Celebrating a big win. Toronto Maple Leafs beating the Buffalo Sabres 4-0 at home. A team that has done actually quite well down the stretch at home to secure the Atlantic Division title, to secure Auston Matthews' 400 goal, to secure Mitch Marner's 100th point this season, and securing who is likely going to be the starter come this time next week. This has been Game Over Toronto. On the other side of the screen, Zach Payne. Where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
You can find me at ZachPayne41 on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. And just to remind everyone, we're chasing down 200 subscribers. So I see all of you in the chat. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. And we will be back on Thursday. My name is Lauren Williamson. You can find me at Lauren in the Six on all the social medias. And make sure you follow the Game Over Network as well. And we will be back Thursday night against the Detroit Red Wings to cap off Game 82 and yet another great season of Game Over Toronto. Have a great night, everybody.